say November. When it comes down to November this year,
Late November.
yeah, we're gonna do a clink with
Sounds
with
good.
me.
Is that your anniversary?
November.
Yeah,
It's gonna be 1 year.
1 year.
this year.
What
yeah.
year?
1 year. Yeah,
Because it happened November.
yeah, yeah.
That's crazy that
Dude,
it was only 4 months ago. I feel like it's been so long.
So long,
Dude, it
feels
feels,
like
like
forever ago,
long.
man.
yeah.
Because I feel like so much has happened. You know,
In 4 months.
in
Yeah,
life,
just
you
in
know?
general, yeah.
I mean, we went through Christmas and New
Yeah, yeah,
Year's
yeah.
and
Holidays are
holiday
always super busy.
season, and then Valentine's just passed from the time we're recording this. So, I mean, what did you guys do anything for Valentine's? Speaking of
Oh,
Valentine's?
that was a trip. I have a
think.
story about that.
Tell your story.
Tell it.
So, I took Christine to Santana Row. We had a nice dinner, so on and so forth.
Didn't someone get stabbed there?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh
Is it about
yeah,
the
that's
same
right.
night?
That's right. Yeah.
So, yeah, so it was all over the news. But so we went to dinner and then we walked into a shop, and we're just walking around, right, killing time, whatever. And then one of the shop associates was like, "Hey, there's been an incident, so you guys have to leave."
They just tell all the.
They're just
the
like,
people
"You
in.
just gotta leave."
Okay.
We're like, "What the
Who?
heck?"
The police?
No, the shop host or the
Oh, okay.
shop, whatever, the cashier. And so we're walking outside, and we just see a bunch of orange like caution tape just being,
Oh damn.
taped all over the place.
Uh-huh.
And there's a policeman, like taping everything down. The shop cashier said, "Oh, well, when you go outside, just be prepared. You're gonna see a lot of orange caution tape and all that stuff. Just move to your left and just basically leave the premise as quietly and
Oh my god.
fluidly as possible." Anyway, so we try to go to the left because going left is where we parked naturally, right? So we're like, okay. And all of a sudden, that policeman, like straight G.I. Joe does, like, "What the hell are you doing? Don't go that way. Start going this way, right?" But start pointing right, right? It was like, okay, cool. All good.
Yeah.
Like, he was just pissed.
So no one knew what was going on at this point.
I have no idea what's
just,
going
it was
on.
taped off?
He just started yelling at everybody,
Oh
right?
my
Like, "What
God.
are you doing?" Okay. And then there was like this couple, again, unbeknownst to them, they were walking through the orange tape, right?
Yeah.
And he started yelling at that couple too. "You know who you are?" Okay, I don't want to get in trouble. Whatever. Anyways,
Let me see.
and then he's like,
Jonathan,
"Dude,
get
don't you
arrested."
see?"
Next time, I saw it on your podcast.
He's not gonna see this. He's not gonna see this.
Hey, he might.
He might.
Our most loyal listener.
I know. He's just
I've
on the
been a
computer
loyal
ready,
listener
just waiting to
since
pounce.
2 weeks ago. Anyway, so funny thing, right? So then we're like, "What's going on?" There was like 5 cop cars there. And finally, as you saw in the feed, it was supposedly a 15-year-old, he was on a date with a girl.
15.
Yeah, he
15.
was a kid.
Oh
He was
shit.
a kid.
Yeah.
No
I
shit.
believe that, and he's part of a Redwood City boxing club, I want to say.
Oh.
He seemed, anyways, the girl's ex-boyfriend came with his friends. I
man.
guess jealous rage.
At 15-year-old.
Just boom, stabbed him in the heart.
Did he die?
Dude.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh shit.
Dang, man. What's wrong with people?
15.
Kids, dude.
Sucks.
Where?
So the funny thing about it is Christine and I was talking about it, and my daughter was there.
Yeah.
And my daughter is almost 7. And I think she understands concepts and things like that. And so I'm like working as a father to kind of talk to her like a grown adult, kind of, you know what I mean? Try to explain her things. And sometimes it's kind of hard.
Yeah.
It's like, how do I'm asking ChatGPT all the time, like, how do you explain this
No,
to
you're
a
not.
7-year-old?
Get out of here.
No, swear to God.
Dude.
Yeah. Like she asked me
ChatGPT,
this, like,
how do I
what does
become the best parent?
transformation mean?
Yeah.
How do you explain transformation to a 7-year-old? Or
Oh,
whatever.
yeah. That's
Yeah,
cool.
Whatever it is,
Yeah.
Sure.
And anyway, so we were talking, and then she's just curious, like, why would he stab her? Like, she's just curious.
Yeah.
And we're trying to explain, like, some people, like, they have jealous rage and they can't control their emotions, and they do things that they might regret for the rest of their lives.
That's beautiful.
And
way to
then
put it, yeah.
she said, "Oh, but And then we told her like these boys. I'm gonna call them boys. They're not men yet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they are boys.
Kids. They're
Drove probably somewhere
Yeah.
far, maybe I don't know, to Santana Row
Yeah.
to do this heinous thing.
Yeah.
Kids. Yeah.
They had a lot of time to think about
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
and
yeah.
and you know what
Premeditated.
struck me?
Yeah.
It was premeditated for sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
What struck me, and we can learn a lot from kids, like because kids are just so innocent. They're so matter of fact. They're so black and white. They like see things as is.
Yeah.
She says, and I'm paraphrasing, like, well, but he at any time driving, he could have turned around. Meaning, what I heard is she's thinking like, wait, you had all this time to think about what you're gonna do, and you could have turned around at any time.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
So then I'm like, that's so true. He could have. There are so many chances
Yeah.
to turn around and not do that.
Yeah.
I don't know what he's gonna get, but I know he's 15, and people are gonna be like, well, he's not mature, and maybe what my wife says too is something about boys or men don't develop our frontal cortex as fast as women
do.
and the
It
frontal.
doesn't finish until you're like in your late 20s.
Yeah,
late 20s.
25 or
Completely,
something.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like 27, something like that. Yeah, 25, 27. Yeah.
For men? What about for females?
I'm not sure. It's
earlier?
definitely earlier.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
like, I think there's some correlation between like, you know, like men having like midlife crises, like in their late 20s or early 30s. Like they start thinking about shit and like, I think there is some correlation between that and like a fully developed frontal lobe. But I did that's definitely true.
Right.
Yeah.
So like it's just like we, you know, and if you look at when we were kids, I don't know, we did dumb shit all the
Yeah.
time.
For
Oh
sure.
yeah,
Like-
definitely.
I mean, I didn't kill
Definitely.
nobody, but you know.
Yeah,
what
no,
I'm saying?
yeah. Newsflash, guys, our pod mate here. No, so
Yeah.
but
I get it.
we did some dumb things,
Real dumb
And
things.
can I be wrong with you? Most of the
Yeah.
things I got in trouble or fights I got in was
Yeah, yeah.
over a girl.
Oh really?
Big portion of it. And all my boys watching this will know. Like my boys who are a part of some of these things, you'll know. Like a lot of it, right, guys? College, high school, we're all girls. And it's
Damn.
because we emotionally maybe we just can't we can't control it, we can't regulate it. But so it was funny how so it's actually pretty cool to just see the curiosity of my daughter and then just her response.
Yeah.
You know? Anyways.
It's like very like it's not influenced by
Raw.
like years
Very
of
raw.
reading or seeing things. It's just like how she feels as a human being.
7 years
Yeah.
on Earth.
Yeah.
Wow.
At that pure innocence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Like
that's
how much you can learn just from it's almost like her answer is like deprived of any influence or bias or judgments or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah,
that
you're
must have been
right.
really cool for you to kind of witness. I mean, not only in that like situation, but in general, like other situations, right? You must be just in awe, like how her brain works in general. You know, as a father.
You guys will know. It's like a wonder of it's enriched my life so much in so many ways. I mean, I've talked about how my daughter has last year during the I don't know if I explained the story about how she saw a teenager crying at the outside.
I don't think
the,
so.
No.
This was the first time I was like, whoa, like she's developed, like she's aware. For her age, though, she's very aware.
She's really smart.
She's very
Yeah.
like, she's a lot like me. Like she'll sit back and kind of observe and absorb.
Yeah.
She'll be quiet, but she'll kind of like see what's going on and stuff. There, during Christmas or Thanksgiving, we were shopping. We come out of a store. I'm just worried about just coming out and make sure she's safe and no car's gonna hit her and
Yeah.
you know a lot of things. She taps me on the my thigh because she's only out here, and she's like, "Hey, Daddy, there's a girl over there crying." And I look over. Sure enough, I'm gonna guess she's 15, 14, 15, 16. She's just sitting in, leaning against the wall and just crying, sobbing. And I was like, dang, right? And then Satan's like, is she okay? Can we help her, basically?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, we should.
Yeah.
Because the thing about it, there's a lot of people walking, just not paying attention to her, which is fine. Or maybe, I don't know. Like, it's just normal, right? You got your own stuff, right? Just no one's paying attention to her. And so I just approached her with Sydney, and I just simply asked, hey, miss, I just want to make sure you're just okay. That's all. Just know if you're not, I'm happy to help. If not, it's okay. I just want to make sure you're okay. And she looked up and she said, "Oh, it's okay. I'm okay. Thank you so much." I think she was just glad at least someone acknowledged her. But I think the bigger picture was like how aware kids are sometimes.
Yeah.
Again, no bias, no judgment. Like, oh, I'm afraid to go talk to her and see how that would look like a grown man.
Sure.
Like, let's be real. Like, if Sydney wasn't there, would I approach a
Probably
crying
not.
15-year-old?
Probably
Like,
not.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe I don't
Maybe.
know. Like, I'm empathetic too. I like to help, and
Sure,
I
sure.
like
But
to
most
think.
likely not, right? Probably not.
There could be a chance I might not. Let's
Yeah.
just put it that as a father. She has a father.
Yeah.
Like, somebody got to at least like make
Check
sure she's
on
okay.
her. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So
Do you feel like there's a difference, like if it was you 10 years ago, before having a daughter, do you think, is there any part of you that's like, thinks more like, hey, that's someone's daughter, just like I have my daughter? Like, does that thought
always,
come to you?
always.
Yeah.
Gosh, I wish in the moment I could give you a lot more examples, but should I turn that off? Hold on.
I mean, it's fine.
Yeah.
I do all the time. Like she changes my perspective. Like she does make me more aware, and putting myself in that person's shoe who has maybe a father or
Makes you more empathetic
Whatever.
in a sense, like
very.
if that is a
Very.
thing.
Yeah.
You know?
No.
You've heard that, right? Like guys who have daughters, like
course.
you now, in some small way. I'm not saying we know what women are thinking all the time, just because we have a daughter.
Never know
Yeah.
what.
but it makes you like consider more. Like,
Consider a lot
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
Like really focus on the consideration.
yeah.
And you have to focus to really understand, right?
Yeah.
And consider somebody's feelings and how they're living.
Yeah.
You right?
Yeah.
And so what she does
Yeah.
is she allows me to pause. I've actually said this a lot. Is like I one of my buddies, shout out to Terrell. Because Terrell has a daughter too, and I remember when his daughter was born, he was super excited. He's a great father, by the way. Shout out T. And he was just asking me like, what is it like? What is it like to have a daughter? All that, right? He's like giddy, right? I
Yeah.
said, listen, it's a lot of work and all that superlatives, right? You've heard before,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But I was like, I'm going to try to explain this as best as I can. And there's so many ways I can. But this is one I thought about in the moment. Is my daughter speeds up time and slows down time at the same time.
I think I've heard you say this before, but not on a podcast.
Speed up and slows down
Yeah.
time. And you're like, how does that happen? It's weird because when I think about my daughter and everything she's accomplished, I think about how fast time went. I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
it's almost 7 years, bro.
Yeah.
I could remember the moment she was born
Yeah.
vividly.
It feels like when we met and she was still in the little rocker and you brought her to the pool hall to play. And
I need to show you that picture.
yeah. And it's just like,
with my dad there.
yeah.
And
And your dad was there and it was like, she was just sleeping because she was still an infant, but
you remember
Wow.
that?
yeah.
I
But
did.
I mean, I know I was younger back then too, but like that feels like yesterday to me too.
Crazy.
And it's not my
That's
daughter.
crazy.
It's just like,
That's crazy.
it's just because I'm your friend. But like even back then, like I'm like, that doesn't feel that long ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
boom,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
And
That's
then,
crazy.
but then when I think that and how fast time has gone, but then when I pause and really think about things she's accomplished, I could, f- I could recall the day she was born. I could recall the moment I took her out of the hospital, walked into my car with my wife, drove home. The the first time she walked. The first time she walked in a Best Buy. Like I could
Random, but
vividly
that's kind of crazy. You mentioned, yeah.
I could vividly remember all those little moments. The moment that we brought her to preschool, the just so many things that when you think about all those moments, then you go, wow, a lot has happened.
Yeah.
So then it feels
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
time has kind of like, because you were able to stop and smell the roses,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
That you didn't allow time to just pass you by. That those moments enrich you. It still enriches me. You know what I'm saying,
When you, even when you think back on it and
bro? Like right
cherish it,
now,
yeah.
I'm cherishing. Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
so happy to express this to you guys.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's life to me. Like
Yeah.
that's the gift I want to give you guys too, you know? Because I know you think about maybe having kids, whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
Is then like part of it is what stories can I tell you guys to like just enrich you guys and know how I feel as a father, you know? You know what I'm saying? We getting I didn't I love this podcast. We don't even know what we're talking about, but I love talking about this because
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's changed my life.
Yeah.
It's part of my happiness. Like
It's
I don't
crazy,
even know
yeah.
how to explain. Like it's
I think even in the time I've known you, what's it been 7-8 years now, whatever it was, like, and I think you're a person that is like in terms of your career and what you've built for yourself, you're I think more emotionally invested in and passionate about than a vast majority of people are in what they do. Because it's not just about money to you or just about career growth or something, because you are providing value to people. But I think even in comparison to that, I think the way you talk about your daughter is significantly, I can tell it's significantly more meaningful to you even than your career, which you fucking grinded for decades. You know what I'm saying? And I think
100.
that to me, that is like a huge deal. Because you're not just some guy who just clocking in like that. I mean, previous to your daughter being born, like that's your life.
Yeah.
I mean, and you and your partner too, but like,
Yeah.
that's your passion. Like
Yeah.
if you clocked out and that was, you felt like you maxed out, I
Yeah.
think you would have been a person that'd be like, I can be satisfied with that.
Yeah.
But you can correct me if I'm wrong. Like it feels like when you talk about your daughter, it's like, it's like, it's an aspect that you didn't know it could get this good or like be this meaningful or big to you. You know what I mean?
I definitely didn't know.
Can I ask you something?
I definitely didn't know.
Did you ever think you would have kids in the first place?
100.
Oh, that's a good question.
I always knew.
Like, did you always want to be a father?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
How about you?
I don't know why, but yes.
Yeah. No,
Did you?
I was fine either way.
Okay.
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 I think me and my brother talk about this all the time, where it's we talk about my parents and how they raised us as being immigrant parents, and how my brother has opted out of wanting to be a father. Reasons being like, I can't. Not saying he can't. He said he doesn't want to take on the responsibility, the psychological aspect of being responsible for another human being.
Yeah.
And I respect that, And for me, it's very much, it's kind of similar, but it's like, I'm not one who believes in God and like that, but like, just for the sake of like explaining it, like if God willing, we had a kid, right? I would try my best, but I would think of it as my, like doing what my dad never gave us type of thing. And that's where my mind goes when I think about all this,
So, well, hold on. This is interesting. So you said, because everyone's want to have kids, is different. Like, or let me say it differently. Everyone's that initial trigger to have kids is very different. But in similar though, everyone struggles with the timing and when and should I and
Those are all the things we're thinking about.
dude,
all
we
the things
toiled
we're-
over it for years, bro.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Right.
I know you. You said you wish you had done it earlier.
Yeah, but then it's just not me only.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got my wife,
Yeah.
who, by the way, you got to be on the same page.
She's the one that has to
100%.
actually give
Okay.
birth.
She,
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
so that's important. Like, so
Yeah.
so a big part is like honoring her wishes too, as a husband, right? It's not just what very very raw. I want more kids.
Yeah.
I wanted more kids.
Yeah.
So when you asked, did I ever want kids? Yes, I actually wanted a basketball team.
Yeah.
I thought
Yeah.
5.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
point guard, two guards, you know, 2 forwards, and maybe a center if I got lucky.
You want
And
to be
broke
the
my
ball
genes
family.
and broke 6. You know. But
yeah.
looking at my, genetics, I don't know. Maybe 5 guards. Maybe
Yeah.
5 guards.
Yeah.
Small ball team. But that one's in the cards because, my wife was more of the like she wasn't sure. And the fact that she had one, she's like, you know what? I want to pour our love and energy to
Yeah.
her, my daughter. And
Yeah.
over time, that experience is not just mine, it's my wife's too. And so I said, okay,
Yeah.
as your husband, I honor that.
Yeah.
I'm going to pour all my love
That's super cool.
I
to
do
my
want
daughter.
to.
You know what I'm saying?
I do want to correct something though.
Oh, yes.
You said if I'm confused.
No,
I'm
I
not
didn't say
confused.
you're confused.
Oh, what'd you say?
When
Weighing the options.
Or,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
weighing
That- yeah,
options.
for
When
sure.
do I do
Yeah.
it? Do I now? Not confused.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Just toil over that decision, like all of us. We all toil
right,
over it, I
right,
think.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
I
Just
mean,
considering the factors.
I would say
It's never the right
selfishly-
time, by the way, but go ahead.
Selfishly thinking, like I think why I lean towards having kids is because we talk about legacy and like we talk about like sometimes morbidly our life, right? But I thought to myself, like in reflection, like if I was on my deathbed, who do I want to see around me, and like what would I be leaving behind?
Yeah, that's true.
And like it just had to be a son or daughter that was there in my vision of the future, if you will,
Yeah.
But some people can say that as selfish, and I think it is a little selfish to think of that. Like I want a daughter or son to be there on my deathbed, And I don't know how I feel about that. That's just
Can I
like me
interject
just
real quick, though?
just saying, yeah.
Controversially, maybe not
Yeah.
controversially, having kids is a selfish act, in my opinion.
You got to explain that.
You're doing it for. Correct me if I'm wrong. Please comment. You're not doing it for the child.
This
The
is a hot
child
take.
had no bearing or decision to be born. Okay, you
Yeah.
did it for you. You did it for your legacy. You did it for your. I want people to be there around me when I die.
Yeah.
I want a legacy. I want a family
Selfish.
to give me warmth and take care of me when I get old. I want to give a life to my flesh and blood,
Yes.
and wrong the things that maybe my own father and mother. Not to say my mom or
Yes.
father wronged me, but
Yeah.
some people say that like.
Just for the sake of argument. Yeah.
Sake of argument, right?
Yeah.
Like I want to treat them better than I was treated.
Yes. That's very much
Those
me right now.
that's another reason.
Yeah.
What's another reason I've heard? But none of it is simply, well, I want to do this for my unborn child because they want this. No,
But see,
you know what I'm saying? Like,
that's where I think the
no,
was it? I don't know if the word is toil is. I don't know.
This is like consideration.
Like consideration, right? Like I don't know the toil.
I threw a bit of toil.
I know. Like internal, like
Conflict.
That is how it is for some people. Yeah.
It's-
Of course.
like I don't want to, as much as I think it's unavoidable, and you guys can comment on this part, is like you're gonna have some guidance, some projections onto the child.
Of course.
But I also want to do what's best for the child for the sake of the child.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Oh, no
that
question.
line
No question.
is is going to be so blurred, I feel like, throughout. I mean, you could probably speak to this more so than any of us can because you have a daughter. But I would imagine like that's what is going on in my head. Like we are going to have kids. Like me and my wife have like talked about it. And how many? Don't know yet. Like that's something that we're still deciding. But when I do an internal reflection of like if I want to like what kind of father I want to be is yes, I want to give everything to my child that, you know, I did not get, but that's still coming from a selfish point of view, in my opinion. And at the end of the day, like I still want to do what's best for the child. So that's kind of like my
Interesting.
angel
But so
devil, you know, yeah.
My argument, which is true,
Yeah.
is that's true when the child is born. You're gonna do everything. You're gonna be a great father. I know this. Your
Thanks
wife's
for
gonna
saying
be.
that.
You
Yeah.
guys are phenomenal people. So you're gonna figure it out. You're gonna make mistakes, all that good stuff. You're gonna give your time. I know this. I'm talking about before it's born. Now,
So there's a marking point.
Decision.
Yeah.
The decision is only, in my opinion, selfish. Doesn't name me a unselfish reason to have a kid.
I can think of a few.
Yeah, I think it just depends
you know
on the
what I'm
person. Yeah, like I think like
Give me an example, because I'm hard to think of one.
So let's say like you and again like other people may disagree with this logic, but I could see an individual thinking this way. It's let's say you own like a nonprofit or something, right?
Okay.
And then like it benefits other people.
Okay,
And then you're like, hey, I want to train
Uh-huh.
my child
Yeah.
to like do this to continue benefiting the world. You know what I'm saying? So they could be thinking, hey, like, you know, as I raise my kid and they can kind of take on this legacy, like it will continue to provide good for people outside of our family too.
I think
But dog, that's your legacy.
It's true. Well, it depends. Like,
Does it make sense? You're saying, hey,
yeah,
I want a child because I have a nonprofit.
Yeah.
Further, what? A legacy. Whose legacy? Your legacy.
Well, I think
Not the child legacy.
I mean, it could be
it
the
depends, though.
nonprofit's legacy.
It could be the nonprofit's legacy because let's say the nonprofit is like not named after me. It's just like some name, right?
Okay.
Right.
And like I don't
Okay.
really care if people know about me, but you know what I'm saying?
I mean,
But
I
I'm not
do
saying
know what you're saying.
Yeah. But
yeah.
I think what you're saying is also true. I think there's versions of that too.
I
But I'm
see.
saying I think there are also versions where people just want to do like no kid left hungry or something, right?
gotcha.
Like
I
think
gotcha.
they just want stuff like that. But yeah, I think it just depends on the person because I would agree with when you said like in terms of reasons to decide to have the kid.
Yes.
No one has a kid because they don't want a kid.
For sure.
You know what I mean? Like
I mean, sometimes.
Well,
Accidentally.
True. Sorry.
Forced or whatever.
Unfortunately forced.
Unfortunately,
right?
let's say like
that's a good point.
You're in a position where you have the privilege to make the decision.
Right, of course. Yes.
In that scenario, of course you're gonna do it because you want to, right? So in that sense, I do agree. And yeah, I feel like it's really interesting to hear about your thoughts and considerations in terms of why to have a child or like what is some of the motivators to have a kid. I think for me, like I think about all those things too. I think maybe like my main thoughts are a little bit different. Like I think a lot about like I guess there's two ways to look at it, but like how shitty the world's getting. And then I'm like, fuck, like, do I want to like bring some kid into this?
Yep.
And it's hard, I think, like, because that's one way to look at it. And then there's other ways to look at it. Like, there's a lot of things that are getting better too. But I think it just depends on your personal perspective. But that's something I personally struggle with is like, you know, in the 80s, you could buy a house for, you know, 100K or like 80K or something with the part, you know, regular job at Walgreens or something. But, you know, for us, it's like, at least where we live, like, unless you're fucking killing it at your tech job.
$500,000 we were talking about.
Yeah, no, literally, unless you're pulling 400 household, you're not going to fucking own property here.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah, and I don't know. that being said, like, property is also not everything too. There are more important things in life, but I don't know.
Agreed,
But
yeah.
anyway, I think those are things I think about too, where how hard will life be for my future child if I have one?
I mean, I think about that too.
yeah.
Oh man, like this is where it becomes like along the vein of like you were saying, like, are there other reasons? When I thought about that, I was like, well, it's to continue maybe our race, our like our family name, which very much is the legacy part of it.
Yeah.
Maybe the other reason, like other people might think, is like it's our duty to a higher power, right? Is that a legacy thing? I don't know. That's probably a different like lane in that regard. I think those are two different things that other people can think about, like that is not necessarily like
That's
legacy,
true.
you know what I mean?
I think the definition
for
and
sure.
the decision will evolve and change, of course.
Yeah.
Because if you asked us like 400, 500 years ago, dog,
It's just a given.
lineage
Yeah.
and God and
Yeah.
to do it for your race and
Yes.
family is the
yeah.
only
It's
reason.
everything.
That's the only reason, yeah.
Give me a son. You know what I mean? But I guess
400
we're-
years ago? Dude, my grandma was like, you better give me a son. Like, that's like not even 400 years ago.
Okay, fair. 50 years ago.
Like 2 generations ago.
So you're
like,
right. So it's interesting because it has changed with modern times.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But we talked about this it's like a couple years ago. Has your decision changed? Has that needle moved?
In
Or-
terms of what?
Having kids.
If you feel
That's-
comfortable asking.
No, yeah,
answering
no,
this
I'm
question.
comfortable.
Like,
If
I was
not,
like-
we'll
I
cut
was
it
like,
out,
that's
but-
kind of a
I'm
forward
comfortable
question.
answering
Yeah.
that for myself. I think it's something I'm very actively processing now. I think I've always thought
More
about
active
it.
than before.
So okay, this is kind of it could be a deep dive, but we could go shallowly into it too. We'll just see how it goes.
Test the
We'll
waters.
see
Test
how
the
it goes.
waters.
Yeah.
Test the waters.
I was ready to
Let's
talk
see what
about
time-
DE&I today,
no,
and
no.
we're talking about kids.
Yeah, no,
And
we got plenty of time.
This
But
is great.
All right, should we take a little sip before this one?
yeah.
Here we go.
Mike's yours.
Okay, so when I got married 5 years ago, there was no question that I thought I wouldn't have kids someday. Like I was like, oh yeah, like, of course I'm gonna have kids. Like,
Okay.
it wasn't even a thought.
Okay.
It was just a matter of like when that was gonna happen. And then,
Okay.
so actually, I don't even know if you guys know this about me. I was very devoutly Christian for a very long time.
I did not know that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I might have mentioned to you
thought
maybe that
yeah,
I went
okay.
to church here
Uh-huh.
and there, but like I didn't share that
yeah.
much with you.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I was,
Yeah.
and that's a whole other thing.
Has it changed?
Yeah. So, and to save time, like I took it very seriously, and that means different things to different people. But I guess what I mean by that is, it meant a lot more than just going to church on Sundays. Like it was the most important part of my life. 100%, like not even close.
Okay.
Everything I processed in life was through the lens of my faith and
Being a Christian.
Christianity, being
Yeah.
a Christian. Like literally anything you could think
Wow.
about, really. So it was deep for me. And then in 2020, I started processing just a lot of questions and doubts I had that I've had before, but at that time were kind of crystallizing in a certain way.
Do you mind if I?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
What put that seed in your head?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Oh shit. We are doing a deep dive. Huh?
yeah,
Deep
yeah,
dive.
no,
this is good stuff, dude. This is great stuff.
Here you-
Honestly, I think it's no, I'm good. Thank you though. Yeah.
like you need some.
It's hard because I don't know how interesting it is to people, even to y'all.
I'm
but
interested.
I'm
I'm all
I'm
ears
invested,
right now.
bro.
yeah, it's So the branch of Christianity I come from. I don't know if you're familiar with some of these terms. Are you guys familiar with like evangelical Christians?
Sure.
So like if you think of like the average like white Christian in America, they're most likely evangelical.
Okay.
And they have certain theological tenets, beliefs about God.
Okay.
And for my particular set of beliefs, one of the beliefs is it's called we believe that the scriptures of the Bible is inerrant. So it's this doctrine of inerrancy. That means that the Bible, as it's presented, is a perfect text. That it provides perfect information and insight and historical record and all these things, right? So it's a very, for lack of better words, it's a very extreme doctrine.
Strict.
Because it's it has to be perfect, right? And so I had some questions about there's like books, names for the books of the Bible, like Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. They're like, these are the names in the Bible. There's like sub books, right?
Okay.
Because the Bible is like an anthology. It's like a collection of books. And no one, not no one, in where I came from, like no one questions like that these people wrote these books, right? That the Apostle Matthew wrote the book, the Gospel of Matthew or something. But yeah, I just had questions. I was like, is that true? Like, did this dude actually write this? And if he did or didn't, like, what does that mean then? Because if this person was personally close to Jesus, as I thought, and he did write it, then maybe there's reason to feel like, okay, like maybe then his stories are maybe more true or something. But if it's not written by someone who was close to Jesus or close to the people at the time, then like, how does that change how I feel about like if this is true or not? So yeah, for to summarize it, like that was
This
kind of
was 5 years ago.
This was 5 years ago, yeah.
So you're starting to question.
Yeah.
Right. But let me ask you, and I love for you to continue. This is fascinating, by the way. Why then? Why did you question it then, 5 years ago?
Yeah.
Did something happen?
Can I do like a little deep dive? Like 2020 was the time of pandemic.
True. Yeah.
2020 was when we were all like more reflective of everything in the world that's going
was it
on.
that?
Like just to like rewind time. I'm not saying that is his.
Oh,
but,
okay.
Like,
You're
just
just putting in
in time.
context of
Yeah.
2020.
That was the context of
COVID.
everything.
You're locked in. You're locked in, so you have a lot more time to think.
I think a part of it was I got married in January of 2020 to my wife. And she, like I think relationally, it was the safest I ever felt to be myself and securest I ever felt to be myself. Earlier you were talking about like, oh, all the fights you had as a kid were always about girls and shit. It wasn't so different for me. Like I think I always, sought out relationships to like feed this part of me that I felt insecure about. That like wasn't enough for me. That if I could have this person, then I'd finally feel complete or something.
Yeah.
And I think when I met my wife, like she was the first person where I'm like, it's not just that she's so awesome and I feel great with her, but just being next to her, I feel like I don't need to be anyone else. I don't need to be this person that you expect me to be. I can just be me. And you will love me just as much. Wow. And so I think that gave me the safety to be like, okay, so then maybe now I can consider other things that like won't jeopardize how I think about myself.
Wow.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
And so like,
Yes, it does.
So I think that's not the only factor, but I think that was a big factor as to why like maybe I was considering other really important parts of my life, like faith and my religion, that I didn't think as deeply as before. I have had these questions when I was younger too, but I kind of either brushed them off or maybe certain answers were sufficient to me.
Okay.
But I think in my adulthood, I was like, yeah, actually this stuff still bothers me. So I want to explore that a little more. But previously I wouldn't, because in religion, I felt like my identity was so solid and secure. So I didn't want to risk that by questioning it. Because if I do, then then who am I, right? Like if that goes away.
That's how it
And
be,
so
yeah.
it was scary to think about before. But I think, at that time, to answer your question, like I think I felt safe to, without predicting the outcome, like just see, hey, like let's just see where this goes, and then go from there.
Sorry, 2 questions.
This is really fascinating.
First of all,
I'm in awe for sure.
Thank you for sharing.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing, because let's just face it. I have a lot of Korean American friends.
Yeah.
That are very religious, like
they're very
you.
Christian, yeah.
Very.
Yeah, of course.
So then, and it's fascinating because it's almost like you're being so raw and with the moment, which is amazing, appreciated. But did your religion come from your parents, or is that something you developed on your own? One.
That's a really good question.
And then two is, if you say your religion was so big as a part of your life, your wife is not religious.
No,
right?
she is. Yeah.
Can I
She
add,
still is.
She
Yeah.
is. Okay.
Can I add to that before you answer?
Yeah. Okay.
I do want to, because originally we were talking about kids, right?
Yes.
I want you to tie it back in.
Okay. Yeah.
Along that,
I
like,
could do that.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
that's originally, unless you didn't want to tie it back in. That's originally what we were discussing.
We're
right?
gonna tie it back in for the viewers.
Yeah.
So that there's a.
I could go either way. Yeah.
But so how did it develop?
Okay.
And then I was gonna ask you getting married to your wife was there any point where you had to consider like, oh, is her faith as strong as mine? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, are we on the same page?
Yeah.
essentially? Yeah, good questions. To answer the first question, did it come from my parents or was it on my own? I process it as both. I think so. Another thing, my dad is a pastor, so he's.
I did not know that.
Yeah, he's been a minister since I was born.
Wow.
So again, I don't want to say this like in a weird way, but like we're not just like a family that just attends church. Like my dad's the one that is preaching, and that's his career, right? And not just his career, but it's his life.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of different maybe like images or like conceptions of like pastors or priests that like maybe for some people they think, oh, they like just like kind of act the part and then at home there's some way. But my dad was always one, like he was a very consistent person across the board. I never felt like he was a hypocrite.
Amazing.
And so that made me like put a lot of stock into the religion, because I felt like when I saw my parents, like they didn't just act the part, like it really meant something to them. So for me, I'm like, okay, then like this shit must be
Something
like
real.
Something. Yeah. I don't know, either true or real or something, right? Like it's not just like they're just faking, right? And so I think that had a lot of influence on me growing up. And I think I admired my parents a lot. And so I wanted to emulate that. And so in that sense, absolutely, like I was brought up in it and like, it.
Christian environment.
Yeah, Christian environment, but also like I wanted to be like them. And not only did I want to be like them, but I felt like the things that they were teaching, like it made sense to me.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is G Baines from the Combiner Effect podcast. Thank you for listening to this episode. Hope you enjoy it so far. We will be doing a part 2. Looking forward to continuing this journey with you guys. See you all soon.